Too slender.
Too rigid? Too clunky? Too janky?
Rigid penis.
Oh! Well, you see,
That's going to be one hell of an opening.
what is Forrest Gump's password?
I fucking suck at these and I hate it.
Run, computer, run.
One Forrest one. Hello. We're here again in the new office. For the Idiot's Lantern.
Yes.
Next episode of Series 2. Leave a comment. We usually read them out. Just give it a go. Patreon.com/Genesis of Androzani if you'd like to help us out and upgrade our software and whatnot and make things better and faster and
Yes.
upgraded. Hey. Should have said that for the last one. Twitter, if you barely use it, but whatever, here it is. And yeah. Anything else you want to say before we get into the Idiot's Lantern?
No.
No? Right. Let's go then.
We need to swap mics because you're very loud and I'm very quiet.
Alright. Oh.
Hello?
Yeah.
That's way better.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, see you in the
Yeah.
car.
Rub them into soup, and your brain comes pouring out of your ears. That's what television does.
Oh.
What? That's cool.
Yeah.
TVs that take your face.
I miss seeing Christopher Eaton's those times. How it was bit two rows.
Yeah,
Was so long.
ridiculously massive name.
Yeah.
And it, like, the animation's struggling to
Yeah.
fit. Mark Gatiss.
Who?
He wrote The Unquiet Dead.
Oh, yeah. Burgers.
He just fat shamed Elvis.
Is there any other way to go, Daddy-O? Straight from the fridge, perhaps?
It is a little bit embarrassing.
This is god awful.
It went from really interesting to shit.
Yeah. Why is it everything so tilted?
It's because it's Dutch angle.
I feel so uneasy.
I think that's kind of the point. Everything's slightly off.
They all look like swastikas.
£5 for a TV in 1953.
I mean, a week's pay was like £1 or £2.
Well, something not quite right there.
I love that cart. Reminds me of Age of Empires.
That's what I like about you. The domestic approach.
So Mickey disappears and it goes straight into this.
I finished it.
Yep.
As you instructed.
Oh. Dutch tilts are supposed to be used sparingly to make a point.
Not every shot, eh?
Yeah.
It's a bit uneasy, isn't it?
Gonna come in, Gran.
What if she's dying?
I am talking! It's better. A little bit of hush.
He's not the most pleasant father, is he?
Ah, this is a bit of a douche, isn't he?
Hi!
Who are you then?
I see you don't bother with uniform.
Mr. Conway, hang on a minute. Union Jacks?
Yes, that's right, isn't it?
That's the Union flag. It's the Union Jack only when it's flown at sea.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologise.
Well, don't get me wrong again. There's a good man now. Get to it!
Did the writer have like a problem with their father or something?
I don't know.
I don't know anything about Mark Gatiss and his family.
He's never really spoken about it.
Like, I get it, but it's a little bit awkward.
Well, if people have been.
I am talking, and I'm not listening.
Now you, Mr. Conway, you
so I'm ordering you, sir. Tell me what's going on.
Can I be told what's going on, please?
You'll see.
I think it was.
Yes. Yes.
Come to the door and take them.
Oh. I just my lungs just like tightened for like a whole 5 minutes.
Why?
It's a very
Hey, well that's quite a problem, isn't it?
Yes.
Her face is completely gone.
Oh, really?
Only an idiot hangs the Union flag upside down. Shame on you.
Sorry.
I don't mean to make an impression on you, Jake, but it's hard not to react. It's hard not to react. Trying to keep it calm, you know?
Operation Market Stall.
See, this whole set design and production design would look so much cooler if it was level.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like the lighting is super good.
Not like it's fucking sliding down a hill.
Oh god.
I feel so sick.
Oh,
Wow.
See, look, that was great.
A rare commodity in this episode.
but look at that. They're like, bleh.
Programs. I really do
The
think
woman
you
who
should leave.
screams hungry at TV for an hour.
Not until you've answered.
This episode could have a very similar visual, not in terms of production design, but in terms of cinematography design to Tooth and Claw, and how that looks
Gonna
great.
come clean.
But the cinema,
What's really
the
in it for you?
camera choices are weird. The setups are weird.
Just look at that audience tomorrow, my dear.
I'm hungry.
And 2 million.
You can't wrap your hand around your elbow and make your fingers bleed.
Don't get clever with me.
You've had your fun with your little doctor, but now you're left with me, Rita. So you'll behave yourself and smile.
Jesus Christ! Fucking hell!
Get out of there, woman.
You can go and see Gran later.
He's got crazy eyes, that actor.
You know what this reminds me of? Uncle Vernon and Marge.
What they say about them. Do you want to beat that out of him?
That's exactly what I'm gonna do.
Fucking hell, that's sadistic. Gonna beat that out of him.
Protect your precious reputation.
Eddie, is that true?
I did it for us, Rita. She was filthy, disgusting thing.
I've lost all interest in this episode. I'm sorry.
No, that's we'll get to
We'll get to it.
Yep.
Friends.
I'm on my way.
Uh-huh.
I want my friend.
He's armed and clever. Withdraw. The box, Magpie. The box. Hold tight.
The hell? It's like Top Gear sports camera.
Yeah, dash cam.
Fucking James May's just like, oh, I'm going over bumps! Fuck! Oh, cock! Hammond, you utter pillet!
Captain Slowpoke's up the rear.
Never too late, as a wise person once said. Kylie, I think. The wise got big plans, it'll leave.
Who's Kylie?
You'll see. Not in this episode.
Why do you have to yell at Tommy in his ear when he was right there? This dude's on too much cocaine.
Yeah.
He's getting to fear her. The direction of this episode's giving me a headache. It's like hard to watch.
It's obnoxiously, like, it's just getting obnoxious at the moment.
Experimental.
Yeah, but it's all like style with no reason.
Yeah.
It's not cohesive.
You know how you said that New Earth was like an overabundance of Russell T Davies? I feel like this is an overabundance of Mark Gatiss.
Yeah.
It's all the things that he loves done tenfold and too much.
See the dog's face as well.
No, what?
Oh, imagine seeing a dog on a screen going, gosh, she's gonna about bloody finish herself.
Why is the music so intense? Just saving it all.
Yeah, just save it all, save it. Keep it in.
What have I missed?
Oh, hey. Oh, country. Hey. It's funny because that's real footage. She's just like, hi, I'm the queen.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just smile at each other.
It's fucking music.
The fuck are you doing, Murray Gold?
The best thing that's happened all episode.
Yeah. Get rid of him. And yet it's still on a Dutch tilt.
A Dutch tilt of like a street cupcake.
What's the name of this writer again? Or director? Who's the director? Euros.
Euros.
The Euros tilt. Tom is the new companion.
Tommy, go off then.
What for?
He's your dad.
He's an idiot.
Of course
Damn
he
it.
is. Like I said, he's your dad.
The one good thing Rose has done this whole episode.
Oh. And you thought the Dr. Dances was jovial. Fucking hell.
I'm gonna take your suitcases, I tell you to fuck off.
Have some juice.
What the fuck is the music?
We ready?
Yep.
Okay. Jake, your initial reaction to the Idiot's Lantern.
Do you want me to give you it?
Huh?
Do you want me to give you it right now?
Yeah, of course.
That was the worst thing I think I've watched of any. That's the worst Doctor Who episode I've ever watched.
I would say so. I'd say out of the ones you've seen so far, this is the worst one.
Yep.
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 Yeah.
That's it.
You're
I thought it was god awful.
Okay. I would usually ask you this question, but I kind of want to, because seeing as you seem so abrupt, I think I want to jump straight in.
Okay.
So, overall, if you've watched the videos and you've, I've said this to you before.
Yep.
The 10th Doctor is my favourite Doctor.
Yep.
But,
Mm-hmm.
this is the only episode where I don't like him.
Yeah.
I find him so obnoxious in this episode. I think he's so unnecessarily over the top and just really, really douchebag like.
You know what it is? They try to make it seem like you touch my rose, I'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't work.
Anyway,
whatsoever.
And I think also another thing is I'm 99% sure this episode was written for the Christopher Eccleston.
Oh yeah.
Because there are so many scenes that remind me of the Ninth Doctor.
Right.
But the biggest problem is, this is like trying to do Christopher Eccleston in Dalek in an episode that means fucking nothing.
Yeah. With the most
work. It's forced. It's annoying.
With the most unmemorable villain ever.
Yeah, it's just so caricatured and disappointing because I love the 10th Doctor.
Yeah.
But he is not good in this episode. And it's not the fault of the actor, it's the writing.
Yeah.
The writing around the Doctor in this episode is so poor, which is surprising because it was great in The Unquiet Dead. And I think on the cocaine meter, I would say Scarface and a half.
Yeah.
Because this is really, really, and I don't mean that in a complimentary way. I mean that as in that was too much.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
It's like he snorted a whole bunch of cocaine, but instead of his nose, our noses started bleeding.
Yeah.
I just like that. There's so many things that is just like that in this episode. It's just like, why? Well, what the fuck? Why?
This is a mess. No, I don't. Fuck it. I want to rest. You give your whatever you want to say.
So I think I've made it pretty clear. I don't like the Doctor as a romantic lead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all he is in this episode.
Hmm.
With a terrible villain,
Yeah.
wonky side characters. Rose is annoying as all get out. And their first scene, like, I wanted to run away.
I don't want to interrupt, but you know how in the Age of Steel review I was talking about writers taking what Russell pitched for the series and making it way over the top.
Jesus. Yeah.
Sorry. I think this is the worst example of that.
It's
Mark
so
Gatiss
bad.
made them into one-dimensional characters, like literally stick drawings of the Doctor and Rose, and it's so annoying.
It's unbearable. Like that
Yeah.
first 10 minutes, I was just cringing, and
You got my way down.
like I remember not liking it to begin with, but oh fuck, I think I've gone to hating it. It's like bad characterization, bad story, bad. Couple neat ideas, but neat ideas, as we've proved many times on this channel, does not a good episode make.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Let's get this shit over with.
Yeah, well, I guess we've already discussed Rose, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Wire.
She's the interesting concept.
Yo, that was pretty much it. It was just like,
Interesting concept, but way too funny.
yeah,
She tried to be, but it's really like, it's not menacing.
just
it's so,
stupid.
It's really dumb, yeah.
It's silly and
I mean, stuck in your face through a TV is pretty cool, but like,
yeah.
I love the concepts of this episode. It's just the execution.
yeah. Feed me.
It's really, really tonally discombobulated.
Yeah.
It bad.
All right, next, probably side characters.
Yeah. So basically, we can all agree the Wire's the worst villain so far.
Yeah. For me, yeah.
Yeah. Adam Mitchell doesn't count, but he is a villain in my eyes.
Magpie is a guy on the TV show.
Yeah, forgettable.
Yeah.
And then there was also the Connollys, the family.
I mean, it's that whole post-war traumatic family thing is it's a touchy subject, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not done very well in this. And
It's handled with reckless intent.
it makes sense, like that the father would be acting that way, you know, and stuff like that, trying to stay in control, and trying to be that commander, that commander of the
he
family.
wants to be the rock of the family.
Yeah,
But it's so over the top.
yeah,
It's the cartoon version of
Yeah,
real.
it's like cartoon Hitler.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Anthony.
but yeah.
Anthony Hall loves this episode because it has that father-son thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The father-son thing, fair enough if it works for people, that's great. But for me, it just didn't feel real enough.
It just reminded me of my fucking relationship with my stepdad. I'm like, well, I don't want to watch this shit. I don't want to fucking watch this.
Doctor Who to get away from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's just... I get the intention, but I just think sometimes Mark Gatiss is so... He's the way he writes sometimes, I would... Unquite Dead, it's a lot more better handled, because... Like, Mr. Sneed, for example, is a comic book character, but it's in a story that's quite sort of relatively well crafted. Whereas with this, all the characters just, like I said, they feel like stick drawings. They've got one motive, one goal, one emotion, and it doesn't have any layers to it. It's just so static. And it's disappointing, because I can see a brilliant story within this.
It's wanting to get out.
Yeah.
Especially with the stealing people's faces thing and that just being eating. Like, yeah, it could be something great, but they fucked it.
Yeah. And then there was a couple of other side characters, but I don't really remember them.
The inspector who was kind of wonky and bleh.
Oh, he was just a bloody punchline, wasn't he? It's a colour TV.
Yeah.
It's some kind of portable TV. I don't know why I made him Liverpoolian.
Yeah, and the plot was a mess. It had nice ideas, but it just all over the place.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
It actually made me yawn.
Yeah.
It gave me. I've got a headache from watching this episode.
Yeah.
Killer.
It's a
Slow.
it's like it's also the pacing is all over the place too. Like sometimes it's really slow, sometimes it's really fast, unconcentrated, unbalanced. Yeah. Because I recently rewatched The Unquiet Dead and I've actually gotten more of appreciation for it.
Yeah.
But it's just so surprising to go from that to this. It's just
It's very out of place.
It's so
this episode.
unbalanced. So and it means nothing. Like,
It's a filler episode, right?
absolutely it is. It's low budget, it's filler, it's over experimental, over ambitious, and it's so
And it's very British.
yeah. And
But
like,
not.
and like I said, like I love David Tennant as the Doctor, but this is the one that gets it wrong for me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really hard thing to do
Yeah.
because he is a very, very charming actor, and
Yeah.
to actually push it to the point where you can't even like the Doctor is sad. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the hell of a right hook kind of thing was just obnoxious.
Yeah, and like, and I am talking and I'm not listening. Almost come like Barty Crouch Jr. or something.
Yeah, crap.
I don't know why. I think I couldn't think of an appropriate clip that relates to this story from Classic Who, but I have picked one that's relatively sort of important. It's from the first story. It's called "The Doctor is Ridiculed," and yeah, you'll see what happens.
Prove your point. You're so narrow-minded, aren't you? Don't be so insular.
Grandfather, you know where we are?
Yes, we've gone. Time doesn't go round and round in circles. You can't get on and off whenever you like in the past or the future. Really? Where does time go then?
It doesn't go anywhere. It just happens and then it's finished.
Don't worry. Please. This is the police box. Why isn't it changed? Dear, dear. How very disturbing.
What did the TARDIS look like before a police box?
We don't know.
Oh.
We never saw it. I mean, it looks like a round silver cylinder.
But we didn't find that out until like
Yeah, but obviously they went on travels
yeah.
in between whenever they took it and whenever this is.
Yeah.
But it got stuck as a police box and it still is.
Yeah.
So what do you think of that?
Pretty cool. I can't see how that related to
No, it
this.
doesn't relate at all. I
Oh,
just
okay.
picked it because it's like a really important scene. It's like
Yeah.
the police box becomes a police box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Fucking nothing to do with Idiot Center. I honestly couldn't think of anything to do with it. I was like, historicals. No,
Yeah.
no.
You just want to show me something cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I want to relate this to anything, it's just got to be something that's not that interesting.
Yeah.
No, but that was more that 30-second clip you just played me was more interesting than this whole fucking episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also the first Doctor is so good.
Yeah.
Like he's just this
I sense ridicule.
yes, this sort of smug aura, and then also like how very disturbing. Like he's
And it's strange how like there are people out there that legitimately enjoy like this version of the 10th Doctor more than the first Doctor.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't understand that. I know everyone comes from like different perspectives and stuff, but that's one I just don't. I can't sympathize or
Like, if
empathize
you go
with.
on, like YouTube and you search up best to worst Doctors, first Doctor almost always is in like the bottom 2 or 3.
Oh,
Which I don't understand. He's brilliant.
He's so good.
I think it's just because people are like, oh, he's a mean, grumpy old man. I need my doctor to be nice.
And attractive and blah 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 blah.
Which makes it very difficult for me to like say that I like the 10th Doctor, because then classic fans would be like, oh, well, you're just a fangirl. You like him because he's attractive. Like, no, it's not why. Oh well.
Though David Tennant is very attractive.
It's true. But that's not what makes the Doctor
No.
great.
No. Because if it was just on a sex appeal, then the whole era would be like this episode.
Yeah.
And crap.
Yep. Right. Historical and reception for the Idiot's Lantern. Very mixed reviews.
Oh yeah.
Harsh. I've heard some say it's a favourite. I've also heard some say it's one of their least favourites. This appears in a lot of bottom 10s.
Good. This is bottom for me.
I think there was one guy, Council of Geeks, at one point said this was his least favourite until a certain episode happened. Yeah, it's a weird one. Because Luke Peterson also loves this episode because he loves the horror of like the
Yeah.
face.
That cold open was rad.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
As soon as the credits ended.
You
Yeah.
saw me. I was
Yeah.
like, oh shit, this is cool.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
immediately it
Yeah.
turns to
I
crap.
think,
Yeah.
I think people that like this episode will like it for like a reason. So like they'll think of one thing that was
Yeah.
about it, like the father-son relationship or the faces being taken off,
Yeah.
and say, "Oh, I really like that idea," without actually
Encompassing the whole
the
episode.
whole episode.
You know what? Like personally, the Dutch angles and like it being all crazy and shit is like it's off-putting, but also I quite like it a little bit as well.
It's this thing of I really like when people take creative ideas on cinematography
Yeah.
and use cinematography, but
But it's
I have
overused.
this like thing about I like it when there is a significant meaning behind it
Yeah,
or a piece
true.
of storytelling
Instead
visually.
of just
Yeah.
doing it for the
It's
hell of
like,
it.
where
Yeah.
It just felt like a hipster university art film that was trying to be film noir. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or evoking that kind of Tim Burton aesthetic where... Because with Tim Burton, even though he uses it all the time, it kind of works because his worlds are always warped.
Yeah.
But, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some... I think that from this point on, then I've got some like newspaper and like, article reviews for the episodes. Ian Berriman of SFX gave The Idiot's Lantern a rating of 4 out of 5.
What?
Yeah. Calling the main plot fairly insubstantial and noting it would not please viewers who liked everything explained. However, he referred to it as enjoyable and praised the direction of Euros Lyn. Berriman considered the highlight of the episode to be the subplot of family. IGN's Asan Haik rated the episode 6.8 out of 10, finding several logic flaws and calling the story marginally interesting. Digital Spy reviewer Dick Hogan said the Eirich Lantern was a disappointment after Gatiss' previous Doctor Who script The Unquiet Dead, feeling that a similar plot had been done before and it played like a pastiche of Doctor Who than the show itself. I would agree with that tenfold. He was also not he was also not favourable to Lippman's performance as the Wire, saying the character lacked menace and found the subplot of Tommy's father annoying. Stephen Brooke of The Guardian named it as an episode of the series he disliked, finding it too clever and way too preachy. So personally, as a kid, after seeing The Age of Steel, I literally, like, there was a couple of times it was on. I looked at it for like 2 seconds. I was like, no, I don't want to watch that. I didn't see this episode in full until 2 years ago because it never interested me. I watched like a few minutes. I'm like, no, I don't like that. Bye. Goodbye. See ya. Go away. Which is really odd considering this is like my most nostalgic period of the show. Like the Russell T Davies era. Yet, for some reason, I just can't get into this episode. And I think because it's just not very good.
And the thing is, Mark Gatiss is capable of doing very good stuff.
He's a brilliant actor.
And he's a brilliant actor as well, yeah. But
and I actually really like The Unquiet Dead.
I do too, and some other scripts that he's written, but this in particular, I don't... It's just wonky.
Did he act in this one?
No. He didn't do anything in Series 1. I'm not sure if you've ever seen The League of Gentlemen. It's an old, like... It's a dark British... But he wrote and acts in that.
Oh, okay.
He's also the main guy from the Iron Bank in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
And he's also in Sherlock as well.
Sherlock as Mycroft.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also appears in Doctor Who, but you'll have to wait for that.
Okay.
Ooh.
Wow, I'm so excited.
He's a very good actor.
But yeah, of course, the writer was Mark Gatiss. BBC's Gareth Roberts suggested that Mark Gatiss, this episode, be called The Idiot's Lantern because his father would use that nickname for television. I think that's quite clever.
Yeah.
It would be better if the episode was more memorable, though. Yeah.
Or memorable for good reasons.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the director was Euros Lyn and a lot of people praised the Dutch angles.
I suppose it's quite unique in terms of what Doctor Who had done up until this point in terms of the new series.
You know what I think?
What?
I think the Dutch angles in this look great if you pause it. It looks great as a picture, but as a moving image, it's so jarring.
I liked it when it was like there was one shot of when the Doctor and the detective were sitting at a table and they were talking to each other, and just at the end, and then it started to pan out and
there was
tilt.
also a shot from
that was
outside
cool.
looking through the broken glass at them.
Well, what I liked about that scene as well is the way it... Because it started with the inspector going, "Now tell me everything you know," and it's angled up towards him. And then on the flip side, when it ends, the angle is towards the Doctor as he flips the power. And that's quite like a neat little bit of direction, using the Dutch tilts to an effect.
It felt like they fucking jam-packed this shit full of crazy imagery to fill in the blanks of how boring the story is.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the intention, but you're right.
Yeah.
And music. Murray Gold. Yeah, there was that guitar bit, wasn't there?
First time rewatching Series 1 and 2 that I've come across a piece that really irked me.
Yeah, that was shit.
Yeah,
that
there was the music that was playing during Adam and Rose's thing in Dalek, but then again, I don't think that piece of music necessarily is bad. It was just the way it was placed.
It was just the context and what scene it was used in. But this in particular was like bad.
Yeah, it was
really
cringe.
That was really bad.
Yeah. Oof. And I was considering playing this unreleased track, but I honestly can't be bothered.
Okay.
Because you commented on it already at the end of the episode. It was the one where they're climbing the tower.
Oh, right.
So it was that one that I was
Yeah.
going to play.
No.
Because there's no actual tracks that they included on the CD for this one. Well, what is it time for, Jake?
Trivia!
There is a Torchwood reference in this episode.
Is it?
Although you can barely hear it, Detective Inspector Bishop says to his colleague that Torchwood will be all over us.
Oh.
Behind the Doctor after Rose is brought into the office. The Connolly family live on Florizel Street, a reference to the original planned name of Coronation Street.
Uh-huh.
That's funny because this is set during the coronation.
Yeah. Maybe it was called that after the coronation.
Maybe.
This story had working titles of Mr. Sandman, Sonic Doom, and the One-Eyed Monster. Don't know why. Mark Gatiss told that originally the story was written for the Ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. Obviously, Tommy was originally being played by Nicholas Hoult. I don't know who that is.
He's famous. People will know who he is.
Tommy had a crush on the Doctor, but Rose would think he was interested in her, and then in the end Rose and the Doctor would have a conversation about this crush and her making assumptions about the Doctor.
That would have been so much more interesting.
Yeah.
Talking about, like, actually, instead of this, like, vapid, surface-level romance shit, actually having the Doctor and Rose talk about making assumptions about... It would have been something, you know? Something character-wise. And then you could actually watch this episode as a point in which, that's the point in where Doctor and Rose had that conversation.
It's like, because, you know, in School Reunion, how that's kind of a subtext as well, except when in School Reunion, it's like, they actually tied it into the Doctor's arc. Like, as a character, it's like, I regenerate, I don't die.
Yeah.
So if you stay with me, I have to watch you die.
And also, if it was Christopher Eccleston as well, it would be great.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it would just be a little bit strange, though, if they went this far into the romance with the Ninth Doctor, just because... I know it's he's a Time Lord, but just visually, Eccleston doesn't look like a romantic Doctor.
Yeah.
He's more paternal. It's interesting. But then again, it's like when... Because I guess him and Bad Wolf, they sort of lock lips at the end of Parting of the Ways, which I guess is a romantic subtext, but I don't know. It doesn't feel as wrong as it would if he was in this episode. I can't imagine the Ninth Doctor coming out on a motorcycle being all fucking Elvis, you know? But then again, it doesn't really work with the 10th either, so it's not like it's a particular Doctor thing, is it?
No, there are certain Doctors it would be much worse with, but...
God, imagine bloody William Hartnell in this episode. That would be so weird.
The only one I could see coming out on a scooter looking genuinely cool is John Pertwee.
You got my radar? Oh dear. Originally, the Doctor was supposed to have a line about trouble with radio transmitters, which was supposed to be a reference to Legopolis, where the Fourth Doctor fell from the Pharos Project transmitter to his death. Because he fell from like a TV tower, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. I was going to mention it watching this. It reminded me of the end of Legopolis.
All the television aerials seem to resemble Nazi swastikas. On the DVD commentary, one of the set designers mentions that this was done to evoke the post-war era.
Cool.
The Wires line, "Are you sitting comfortably, then let's begin," is a line made famous by Daphne Oxenford in the program Listen with Mother. Must be some British trivia.
Yeah.
The Wire's repeated demand, "Feed me," is reminiscent of a similar demand made to comic effect by the killer plant Audrey II in classic horror comedy film The Little Shop of Horrors, when the faces are shown on the screens and the TVs. It is also similar to the original. This is the problem, is I feel like Mark Gatiss is doing all this like literature fan wank and it's not fitting the story. He's like, I could put this little reference in here, and only like hipsters like me will understand it. When in the original film, when Audrey II finally bloomed, showing the faces of all its victims. Margaret John, who was Grandma Connolly, had previously appeared in the story Fury from the Deep, which was the clip you saw with like the opening mouths and the gas.
Yep.
In 1968, 30 years before the story, that she thereby held the record for the greatest span of time between guest appearances on Doctor Who. Because I guess it would have been it would have been slightly. Oh no, hang on. It's wrong. The woman who played Queen Victoria was in the Faceless Ones.
Oh yes.
Well, is that a guest appearance?
That episode came before this one did.
Yes, but then so did... I mean, Faceless Ones was a year before Fury for the Deep.
True, yeah.
So, I don't know. We'd have to check the continuity on that.
Fix the trivia.
David Tennant mentioned on the DVD commentary that he accidentally hit the button on the sonic screwdriver prop whilst putting it into his pocket, causing the light to flicker and sonicking himself. This error is clearly visible on the episode itself. Well, when the Doctor is climbing the transmitter, there is a moment where David Tennant's right foot disappears completely during a compositing error.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. I noticed how shit it looked, but I was like, look past how shit it looks, and think about the story. But by that point, I'd already
checked out.
I was lost.
You brought the foot still up by then.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. And David Tennant's foot didn't need a stall because it wasn't there. At the beginning of the episode, when the Doctor and Rose are on mopeds with helmets and sunglasses, the camera crew are reflected in them.
No.
But of course we wouldn't notice that because they were being so obnoxious. The Doctor flips his interrogation with Detective Inspector Bishop in a similar manner to the 7th Doctor and the Chief Caretaker from Paradise Towers. I haven't seen that story in like 5 years, so I don't remember. Tommy, the one clever person in the episode, wears an outfit that almost perfectly matches David Tennant's brown jacket, blue shirt, and white undershirt. A subtle hint about how important his character is to the plot.
Yeah, fuck that trip.
You know, actually, I was going to just mention...
Well, that kind of makes sense, because one of the gripes that I have is, how the fuck did Tommy know to pick that thing up and put it into the thing that had broken, and then plug it back in? You know, like, what kind of dude from 1953 knows how to do that? But I guess making him sort of relatable to the Doctor makes it.
I will say one thing. I forgot to mention it with the characters, but I thought Tommy was the best character in this story.
Well, he's the one who had the most to do.
And I think he's a great child actor. Like, the way he twitches his eye is really unsettling.
Yeah.
He was alright.
He was relatable, I think.
He's a bit like... a bit high-pitched, you know, but...
Younger people usually are.
In comparison to the other characters, no. The chase scene was originally much longer and included action in the London Underground.
Oh.
That would have gone on way too long.
45-minute chase scene, please.
Mark Gatiss wanted to include references to the... Fucking hell, Mark Gatiss, calm the fuck... Control yourself. Stop it with the references. He wanted to include references to the Quatermass experiment, but ultimately only clenched hands of faceless victims survived. Just tell your own fucking story, mate. For God's sake. According to Mark Gatiss, Tommy was gay in the original. Yeah, we already know this. The story was originally set during the dawn of the rock and roll era in the late 50s. However, it was eventually agreed that the idea of a living song did not translate sufficiently well to television. So it was almost a musical episode. I think part of the problem is that this episode represents American culture, not British culture. I think, with like the way that the Doctor and Rose approach it, it doesn't feel like a British thing, does it? At least to me.
It was very British.
It had a very British vibe. It just was crap.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I thought it was American.
Shit.
It's made a return. The story originally took place on Powell Street, intended to be the same location where Rose Tyler's apartment block, the Powell estate, would later be built. However, since Rose's home had already been established as being situated in the south of London, this would make the setting the climax at Alexandra Palace a more cumbersome plot element. Rose corrects Mr. Connolly, who calls the British flag a Union Jack. Rose says it's a Union Jack only when it's flown at sea, and called the Union flag otherwise. However, in an earlier episode, The Empty Child, Rose refers to the Union flag on her shirt as a Union Jack without correction.
Maybe the Doctor scolded her for it, and she's like, "I'm gonna do what the Doctor did to me."
Yep. A subplot in which Rose visits her aunt, who works on a game show for BBC, was deleted because Russell T Davies feared that having the corporation be too involved in the plot would make the episode difficult to take seriously.
Yeah.
Magpie was originally a more malevolent figure. His villainous nature was toned down at Russell T Davies' suggestion.
Yep.
It would have been cool if the wire like took over his body.
Like, and he moved unnaturally because it wasn't used to having like a human form.
But she just went on that small screen. The entrance to Bishop's headquarters was originally concealed by a newspaper vendor rather than a market stall.
Cool.
Tommy's grandfather was removed from the script. At one point he appeared in place of the grandmother. The climax originally featured the television sets in Magpie's shop exploding after the defeat of the Wire.
What?
The climax.
You're so checked out.
The climax originally featured the television sets in Magpie's shop exploding after the defeat of the Wire.
Oh. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's just absurd.
There's been a lot of absurd things in this show. Viewership 6.76 million, so same as last week. Who should go first? I feel like we might.
Let's all three of us go at the same time and get it done with.
Well, the thing is there's a chance our numbers might be different. So.
Okay, I'm gonna give a very brief conclusion.
Yeah. Let's get over.
I had two things I like from this episode. Rita, was that her name? Rita, the wife.
Yes, I think so.
Her standing up and all that moral.
That was a good
shit.
I agree with that.
What was the second one? I forgot it. It's not memorable enough. Other than that, everything else was shit. It was just over the top and blah blah blah. I really didn't enjoy it, and I'm giving it a 1.5 out of 10.
Oh shit! 1.5.
Yeah, I'm never gonna watch this again in my life.
Yeah. Because you gave New Earth a 3.5, so shit, that's really low.
New Earth at least was like
fun.
Yeah, it was like it was
just very ugly.
Yeah, and there was like things I enjoyed, like the face of Bowl and stuff like that. Like
it has that Russell charm to it, even if it's a mess.
And also,
this is just obnoxious.
Is it Cassandra?
Yes.
Yeah, Cassandra in Rose's body was funny as well. Yeah, it had things that I enjoyed, but this had nothing. It had one forgettable moment. That was it.
Very, very much the same. I enjoyed it when I was I was like whatever. I remember as a kid I was just like okay, I just watched it, felt nothing toward it. Rewatching it, fucking appalling. Like I love Mark Gatiss, but this was a real mess. I have so much respect for the man, but this just did nothing for me. It bored me. It infuriated me. It gave me a bit of a headache. This episode physically assaulted me. But it just very bland, very boring. Some neat production design as per for Doctor Who, but bad. 3 out of 10.
Similar to you, this wasn't. Even though I was never really drawn to this episode, this was one that when 2 years ago when I rewatched the whole series, watched this one in full, I was surprised because there were bits that I was like, oh, I'd never seen that before, so I was like, oh yeah, that's neat. For some reason, when I first watched this in full, it was never really apparent to me the problems, just because I was invested in. When I first rewatched this in full, I was really invested in the whole father-son story. But I, for some reason, don't know why I didn't.
I think it's a
difficult one.
It's a noble effort in what it's trying to say about removing yourself from toxic family members.
This is the first time I've watched this episode where I've actually been fully engaged to like actually just dissect all of it. I think it's one of those ones that sometimes like I'll watch it sort of like it's there, like it's there, but I'm not fully engrossed. But because we're doing this for the channel, we have to really get into the nitty-gritty of every episode. I really don't like it now. Before today, I probably would have given this a 6. But now I'm going to give it a 4.
So 2,
Oh.
3, 4. 2.5. Oh, 1.5.
1.5.
1, 3, 4.
This is one of the worst episodes of New Who. It's bad. It's the worst ever writing of the 10th Doctor. It's almost like it's really bad. It's really bad. It's fucking hell. Like the moment I decided to change it from a 6 to a 4 was when I realized that this is the same feeling I was getting when we were watching other like worst of Classic Who stuff, and I was like, no, this is a bad episode now.
Yeah.
I don't like it anymore. It's over the top. It's dumb. It's silly. It's just bad. Oh, didn't need to happen, really. Filler in every way possible. Especially coming off that, even though like you said it was a pretty straightforward story, like coming off the Sidemen two-parter.
Was ambitious and interesting.
This is just a nothing episode.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I don't put it below a 4 is because
There are others that
there are other episodes that destroy me more.
Look forward to that.
Look forward to that. Yeah, I think it's just because if this episode was in another era where I'm less fond of, say, the Doctor Companion era, tone show, whatever, I would probably hate it more.
Mm.
But there are just core elements of this series in particular that are particularly nostalgic for me. Therefore, I can't hate it as much as something else.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, this is a bad episode, and I'll give it a 4 out of 10. And I'm quite surprised by that because I did not expect that to happen. Because I always remember this being quite an average one, but no, it's not. It's bad. Oh dear. Right, what's next?
Comment.
Oh yeah, the comments. So this one's from Who BP8. This was from when we watched the clip from Robot, which was the first Tom Baker episode where he's like putting on all those costumes.
Oh, yeah.
Robot, this was the first Doctor Who story I ever watched. Depressingly, that was probably before any of you three were born. The effects were terrible even for the time, but Tom Baker had me hooked. This is a short and sweet reaction to the first brief glimpse of David Tennant. Obviously, this is Born Again, I think. Can't wait to see what you have to say about Christmas Invasion.
Hope you enjoyed it, because that will be out at that point.
It's been out for ages.
It's been out for months at this point.
Shit.
Then there's one from Who BP8 also about school reunion. The presence of Sarah Jane and K9 elevate an okay story to a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from Anthony Head, the Krillitane aren't really that memorable.
Yep.
Oh, I disagree. I love the Krillitane.
They're a great design.
What's especially nice about this story is while Classic Who fans like me respond to the nostalgia, that New Who fans totally get the deep connection between the Doctor and Sarah Jane because Les Sladen and David Tennant sell it so completely. You're right in your observation about what a warm actress she is. I recall an interview I once read with American TV executive Fred Silverman. He was asked how he knew a dramatic show featuring a well-known star who had previously been associated with comedies was going to be a hit. He said, "There are some actors who are always welcome in people's living rooms no matter what kind of show they're in. I think this applies to Liz Sladen. She's always solid in her performance and always pleased to see her. She's always welcome." And that's why I trust the Sarah Jane Adventures, even though I haven't seen it. That's why I trust it when we get around to reviewing it, just because she is such a presence. I feel like she could carry the show. Right, so even though I quite liked it, you were a bit meh on the Unquite Dead on review. So with the Unquite Dead and the Idiot's Lantern, Mark Gatiss has begun to develop a reputation as a writer. Is this a concern?
Unquite Dead's Mr. Schnee, right?
Yeah.
That episode. It's a bit of a concern in that I know that I didn't like the Unquiet Dead when we watched it. I didn't particularly like it.
You thought it was okay, like a filler, but like
Yeah.
you didn't hate it at all.
Yeah.
You liked it, but you thought it was a bit eh.
Yeah, well,
But then
Yeah.
I think during the recap you appreciated it more for the rift.
yeah. But I don't think that's technically his idea. I think that's
True.
Russell's
Yeah,
idea.
it's more the series 1 arc, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there is a bit of a concern in that maybe he's just a little bit too out there.
Yeah. I don't think it's a spoiler for me to say he doesn't write again for a bit.
Okay.
It's a little bit before he writes again.
Oh, yeah.
But he does have quite a lot of stories.
Right.
And we'll get to that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we're now at the point where we're about to sort of enter that home stretch. This is the point we were at just before The Empty Child, I think.
Yep.
Like after Father's Day. Does this series have the potential to finish as strong as Series 1 did?
I think no for me.
Just because even if everything from here is fantastic, it's really...
Actually, I take that back. If everything from here is like fucking epic, then definitely yeah.
Yeah.
But for me so far, this season hasn't been as strong as Series 1 because, from what I remember, I really enjoyed, and I think it's solely because of Christopher Eccleston, I just really enjoyed that the whole getting to know the Doctor
Yeah.
from the ground up.
Yeah.
Whereas I already know the Doctor.
Yeah.
And I just want to, learning more, it just feels slow and I'm not learning as much. I just
And
feel
they're
like I'm,
focusing more on his
Yeah.
relationships rather.
yeah, and I just feel like I'm just watching someone doing things
Yeah.
instead of learning
You're
about.
not engaged. as
Yeah.
much.
And also because you get episodes like New Earth and The Idiot's Lantern, it's kind of stagnating a little bit.
A little bit.
Like you get episodes where you do learn stuff like School Reunion and Girl in the Fireplace, but they're a little bit few and far between.
Yeah. Girl in the Fireplace was great.
Oh, it's a great episode.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because Series 1, every episode, maybe... Long Game was a bit lackluster, but pretty much every episode you are learning more and more,
Yeah,
and more
exactly.
about the Doctor, and it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
But regardless of the Doctor, though, the series itself...
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like you said, if it's...
I feel like at this point, the series is reliant on the Doctor. That's the
Right.
thing.
But I'm talking about, like, the Series 2 specifically, the arc itself. Could you see it being as good as or better than Series 1?
There's nothing like in here that's like Bad Wolf, like
Well, there's the Torchwood arc.
yeah, but it's not as like cool
It's not as
at the moment.
mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, in Tooth and Claw, we did get that bit at the end where Queen Victoria started it, which I thought was
Yeah,
really
that was cool. But it's not been as in your
Yeah.
face as Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
Bad Wolf was cool because it was like
Some people
What the
prefer
fuck?
it when it's not in your face though, because some people feel like Bad Wolf invaded the stories.
yeah, I can see that.
It's a tough one.
But I guess if you're just watching casually, you're not gonna
Yeah. I think
pick
the
up all
main
those
problem
small
with Series
Torchwood
2
ones.
is that episodes like this don't feel connected to the series. They
Yeah.
feel very one-off.
Yeah.
And that only works if it's really, 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 really good.
For me, the arc of this series is not as prevalent as Series 1.
It's a little bit rushed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if there are a few really good episodes in the series itself structurally is a little bit...
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Too up and down.
Not connected. Right, what would you like to see next time?
I don't know. Fucking not this. Yeah, just something that has more series to it, series arcness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Something that progresses the series a little bit more
Yeah, okay, but in
Then
regards
just a-
to...
than just its own contained story again.
Right, but in regards to... Because obviously there's the series arc, but in regards to like the actual story itself.
Like tone, genre.
What are you wanting to see? What are you in the mood for?
Just some dark shit. Yeah.
Has it been too upbeat?
This was too upbeat for me. This
Yeah.
was.
So you want something...
I mean, the whole family stuff was a bit depressing.
You want something a bit more meaty.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want something dark. I want dark. Of course you do.
I want dark.
Yeah. Do you want like because I remember back in series 1 you said something about like alien terrain.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that like what you're? Is that the kind of thing that you're going for?
Yeah, but what I'm finding with Doctor Who is that even if it is alien terrain, it's not what that type of alien terrain I want.
You want something that challenges the characters.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
brings them to their core and to their knees and.
Yeah.
Like Father's Day or.
No. By alien terrain, I mean literally alien terrain, like literally a whole nother fucking planet or something.
Right. Yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
But there's not really much of a budget for that. Yeah.
I mean, I guess New Earth was technically another planet, but not really.
Yeah, but that was trash.
Yeah.
Like that.
That's the thing though, is that they don't want to make every episode like that because they just look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and find out.
Yep.
Next time when we watch The Impossible Planet.
Ooh.
See you then.
Fuck, whatever.